Hey everyone, it's me Brando. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about 4 different kind of Pro controller options for your Nintendo Switch 2. So we're going to be going through the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller, the 8-Bit Do SN30 Pro, rolls right off the tongue, the Nintendo Classics Gamecube controller, that's my favourite, and the 8-Bit Do Ultimate 2 controller. So I've only really noticed when I've gone to record this intro that it feels a bit biased towards 8-Bit Do and Nintendo, and it is for no other reason than they just make really high quality controllers each. I have got a kind of video in the works, I suppose, because I'm waiting for it to get delivered, and that is because Absolute, who made the mobile controller I reviewed a few weeks ago, have made some Joy-Con, and I will be reviewing those as soon as I get them. So subscribe for that in the future. But other than that, let's get straight into this video and let's have a quick brief look at the controllers before I start complaining about them. See you in a sec. Okay, so before we get into the death battle between these controllers, let's just have a quick look at each one individually, just so we've kind of got like a baseline idea of what we're working with. So firstly, Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller. I touched into this a lot on my Switch 2 1-year video, but this is just a fantastic evolution of Switch 1 controller. Sticks are so buttery smooth. There's like this kind of weird coating over the thumbsticks, which just means that they're really nice to use. It's such a smooth feeling. D-pads, it's serviceable. You know, if you're playing a 2D game, this isn't going to ruin it, but it's not fantastic. Buttons are really nice and clicky, but they're a little bit mushy, but not too much where it's distracting. Got your other buttons. Obviously, you've got an aux jack, which for those of you still using wide headphones, might be really useful. Triggers and bumpers. Bumpers feel great. Nice little click. Triggers are pretty nice too. There is a bit of a limiting factor here that the triggers are just digital, not analog. So it's all or nothing, which for games that release on Switch is fine. But if you get into like GameCube classic games, you won't have that kind of analog control for some stuff like FLUDD in Super Mario Sunshine. On top of that, on the Switch 2 Pro controller, if we flip it over, you've got 2 little remappable buttons. So you can just remap another button to these. So yeah, pretty nice controller. Moving on, let's not do another Nintendo one yet. Let's have a look at the 8-Bit Do SN30 Pro. This is, firstly, such a fantastic form factor, especially for your retro games. In terms of like stuff for modern games, this doesn't really hit it for me, just because playing like this, I kind of get hand cramps after a little while. But for like your shorter sessions, this is really great. The portability as well just makes this thing really nice to use. But where this guy shines is that D-pad. That D-pad is just so good, man. So the D-pad and the face buttons are great. Obviously, this is a recreation of the American-style Super Nintendo controller, so D-pad and buttons are just absolutely great. Bumpers, all right. There's a bit of a click when you press them here. Not that I might picking it up, but they're a bit clicky here. Whereas like here, they're quite mushy. And you've got some triggers as well. So this is a full-form controller. You can use this for anything you want to use it for on the Switch. You know, this is a full controller for the game, but you're going to be leaning more towards platformers to this one, unless like you've only got the one option of this controller. I mean, it's got full-size thumbsticks, so that's a win for it. But yeah, definitely like your 2D platformer kind of games, this guy excels at. So let's have a look at my favourite controller of all time. Put some text on the screen. The GameCube Nintendo Switch Online controller. So this is like a amazing recreation of the GameCube controller with Bluetooth. I forgot to mention it. All these controllers use USB-C, obviously. But yeah, so let's talk about this. So you got a kind of cranky control sticks. I absolutely love it, man. The D-pads. Yeah, you're not going to want to play a platform on this. I won't lie to you. But like the face buttons, I just love this layout so much. Okay, you got like your primary button, your secondary, and then like your little side buttons. It's just, it meshes so well in my hand. You got a start/pause button, so yeah. Over to the back, they've added in, because the original Gamecube didn't have all these extra buttons. So L and R are the same as on the Gamecube, including the full analog. So you can press and you can click. So you can get like a full range of motion on there. Got the Z button that was on the original Gamecube controller. They've also added in a ZL button, as well as obviously a sync button, a game chat button for those of you who use that on the Switch, a screenshot, and a home button. Now, one thing that's really going to go against the Gamecube controller during this little kind of battle is the fact that you can't remap stuff, which you might think is fine. But when you're playing a game like a shooter, that's your left trigger, and that's your right trigger, that's your right bumper, that's your left bumper. So I'll show you guys kind of how bad that can get soon, but like, yeah, that's nothing. Like, you've just got nothing to work with. But other than that, like, when we get into it, we're going to be playing some like Gamecube games and actually Smash Bros as well later on. You're going to see like how good this guy can get. And finally, we have the 8-Bit Do Ultimate 2 controller. Now, I talked about this in my Switch travel accessory, just because like this guy's cheap. This guy's cheap, but it's so amazing. The sticks have like a very similar feel to the Switch 2 Pro controller. They're not as smooth, but they're more than good enough. The overall footprint is like very similar to the Switch Pro, just a little bit smaller. The D-pad is really nice and clicky, but it's a little bit mushy compared to something like the SN30 Pro. So this isn't a deal breaker. Like, this is better than the Switch 2 Pro controller D-pad. The face buttons are so nice and clicky. I don't think it's coming through in the mic, but they're so nice. But one of the real stars of this thing is, excuse the dust, it's been sat on my desk for a week. These triggers, so there's little switches on the back, so you can either have just like a very short press, which is how I like it. So because most Switch games don't use analog triggers to my knowledge, I don't like having analog movement. It really makes you go crazy. So there's a little switch here where you can just turn it. So right now it's on like a digital kind of thing, so it's all or nothing. Barely any travel. You can flick this, you get like a full range of motion, which is pretty cool. I don't like it for Switch games, but obviously if you're looking at getting a controller, maybe you're on a budget and you want to use it on other systems, knock yourself out, man. You know, you can use it for like racing games and everything this way. We also have, actually I'll leave that till after. So we've got two remappable buttons on the top, which you can just bind anything to. The shoulder buttons are very good as well, the L and R. Really nice and clicky. As well as those two programmable buttons, you also have two on the back, just like how they are on the Switch Pro controller. You can do all this stuff in the app as well. It's really, really cool. On top of that, we have RGB lights on the controller for some reason. And look, when I move this stick, it shows up on that stick. When I move that stick, it shows up on this stick. So, I mean, that's got to earn it some points, hasn't it? As well as, like, you know, coming with a dock to charge it with, you know. That's none of the other controllers do that. I mean, barely any controllers in general do it, which is really cool. It's a really nice little dock as well. Like, it looks really nice on a desk. On top of that as well, if we go into here, it has a receiver, so you don't have to use this thing over Bluetooth. You can use it on 2.4 gigahertz, which is like a quicker connection type. So, but all in all, like, this may end up being the best overall package. I mean, we're going to find out once I get into it. But yeah, that's a quick overview. Let's get into the games. Okay, so here we have Cyberpunk 2077, and we can do like a quick little test on each of the controllers here. So one thing that's like quite important for me to say before we actually get into the video, outside of playing it on these, I have tested these controllers, don't worry. It's not just like little 5-minute snippets, but I'm just kind of going to go over what I like about each controller and what I don't like about some of them. Okay, so yeah, Cyberpunk, let's do it. So with the Switch 2, once the game actually catches up, the Switch 2 Pro controller, the gyro aiming is kind of like just about right. I think you can adjust the sensitivity in the settings for this. If I go over to controls, where are we? we're here somewhere. Yeah, so we've got gyroscope sensitivity, which some of the other controllers are a bit too sensitive for my liking, but this one just feels great for it. You can kind of do like your big kind of turning with your control stick and then kind of hone in and shoot using a gyro. I love this aiming mode for controllers. On top of that, the face buttons feel great for this kind of game. You know, you're not really doing a lot with your face buttons other than just like, you know, interacting and jumping. With your little back buttons as well, you know, you can kind of quick change over your stuff. You can jump around to move it. I think for a first-person shooter like Cyberpunk, the Switch 2 Pro controller is ideal. I should also mention the control stick just feels so good. It's so nice. Anyway, moving over to the Bit Do SN30 Pro. Yeah, this is going to be a recurring theme here. So, basically more of the same, really. Control sticks aren't as nice as the Switch 2 Pro controller, but they're serviceable. I mean, you've got everything you need here to play through the game. You know, you've got both sticks, you've got both triggers, all the inputs are here, but, I mean, this just isn't particularly comfortable, just because you haven't got a handle. But, like, gyro works, you can still do, like, your aiming and honing somewhere. The sensitivity, though, like by default, is a lot more sensitive than the Switch 2 Pro, so that's something you'll need to keep in mind if you're playing a game like this through. It's not awful. It's absolutely like, if you're on a go, maybe you're on like a tighter budget, absolutely a fantastic option to use. Now, unfortunately, the Switch 2 Gamecube controller, I can't say the same thing for Cyberpunk. Because what you'd think of the triggers are not triggers. They're shoulder buttons in the software, and because for the GameCube controller on the Switch, you can't edit button mapping. So if you want to play Cyberpunk, that's your left trigger to aim, and that's your right trigger to shoot. And as you can see, that's just not comfortable. But it's really weird, because there's a gyroscope in the GameCube controller. You explain it, man. You know, so like for a first-person shooter, that's just a no-go because it literally just doesn't work. And we're going to see more of that later when we get into Splatoon Raiders. It's not great for that either. And finally, we have the Ultimate 2. Oh, yeah, connect it up. Basically the same as the Switch 2 Pro controller. The buttons are a bit clickier on this. I do like it, but again, that gyro sensitivity, you'll have to adjust it. Obviously, like a main benefit for like a game like this, especially if you're not like so someone like me, I'm not a controller player really. I like to... Oh, just ignore him. So like having like the gyroscope and like all the customizable options that the Pro 2 gives you is really nice. It lets like someone like me, like I don't have to move my hands from this position to touch the sticks because you've got 2 buttons here and 2 buttons here, so I could play an entire game like this without having to move. And it makes it a bit closer to that kind of keyboardy experience that I like. I'm not against like playing games on controller. I'm just not particularly familiar with it these days. But as a all-arounder for something like Cyberpunk, I would lean more towards the Switch 2 Pro controller as my preferred option. This is a close second. That's a close third. Yeah, that's about right. Sorry, absolutely love the Shuffle Night my menu music, so let's let that play for a second. Let's have a look at a 2D platformer. So, the main thing for a 2D platformer on these types of controllers is going to be how good is the D-pad. Let's jump. Yeah, just jump into tutorial stage and let's have a look. It's shoveling time. So yeah, not bad, man, not bad so far. The Switch 2 Pro controller is definitely pretty good for this. It's actually quite weird for me while I'm recording, just because the display that I've got it on isn't the display that's being captured. So like, there's like a second of input delay on that one compared to the screen on my left, which I'm going to try and be looking over.
Hit sick clip on that guy. Easy. But yeah, for something like this, I mean, Nintendo are known for D-pads. And the Switch 2 Pro controller's D-pad isn't the best Nintendo D-pad out there. It's absolutely serviceable. So yeah, I mean, as like a general, if you already have it, this is a fantastic use for the Switch 2 Pro controller. Now, probably what I will assume is going to be the best, just because it is set up like, come on. There we go. Yeah, okay. SNES style controller, kind of that generation kind of game. Let's have a look. Yeah, this is fantastic. Yeah, it just feels so natural to use this style of controller, especially on like your 2D platformers. Shovel Knight is probably my favourite 2D game of all time, to be fair. I need to replay this game soon. This kind of get me hyped up to do it. So far, this is absolutely the winner compared to the Switch 2 Pro controller. Now, one thing I'm actually interested in is the Gamecube one for this, because yeah, that's not really a D-pad, is it, bro? But I mean, let's see if I can jump over this first. Because the Gamecube controller compared to the others has these notches, let's give this a go. Let's try and kill this guy. You know what? That's not terrible. That's pretty serviceable, to be fair. Oh, get murked. Okay. So, I mean, don't buy a Gamecube controller to buy something like Shovel Knight, but it's serviceable. I just bumped the camera. And finally, the Bit Do Pro 2. Let's have a look. So I think it's good. Yeah, it's a very similar thing to the Switch Pro controller. The one thing I will say is the D-pad, it's either slightly smaller or it just feels a bit smaller just because there's a bit of an indent on it compared to the Switch 2s. It's not like the end of the world whatsoever, but it's something that, like, for someone like me who really enjoys the 2D platformers and plays them quite a lot, you might notice it over time if you're used to one controller over the other. But one thing I will say in this thing's favour is just how clicky these buttons are. Oh, it's so nice to use. Especially that D-pad, it's so nice and clicky. So for your 2D platformers, I'm actually going to go SN30 Pro winner, Pro 2 second place, Switch Pro controller, then Gamecube kind of next to each other. Because to be honest with you, with those notches on that Gamecube controller and the way the buttons are, it's actually jumping at your attack for a game like Shovel Knight. That's really not a bad layout. So yeah, Shovel Knight, yeah, I mean, all controllers do pretty well there. Let's go on to the next game. Okay, so here we have Splatoon Raiders. So it's going to be like one where I'm just going to kind of dart around the hub and see if I can just kind of get a good feel for them. I mean, yeah, Switch 2 Pro controller. It's absolutely designed for this style of game as well. No complaints from me here. Triggers feel good, movement feels good. The gyro aim for a game like Splatoon is massive. And yeah, no complaints there from me. I mean, I have been playing a game with this controller, so like, there's going to be absolutely a bit of bias there, but yeah, that feels good. Right, let's have a look at the SN30 Pro. I'm quite intrigued for this. Turn off that one. Turn you on. Come on. Come on, you. There we go. Okay. So, again, with this, it's the lack of grip that's really going to let something like this down. But it's not terrible. Like, this is absolutely playable. Again, with that gyro sensitivity, though, like, you're going to need to adjust that, if possible, on Splatoon. Or maybe it is for, like, 8-bit software. I don't know, man. But, like, You can absolutely play the game like this, but I will say one thing. You're going to want to turn rumble off, because every time I'm moving here in the ink, the rumble on this controller is basically all or nothing. So the controller's just like shaking around in my hand. Not bad though, not bad. Way better than I expected. Let's have a look at the Gamecube controller, and I don't have high hopes for this one because I have tested it before. So just like Cyberpunk, you really run into a problem with the fact that you can't remap stuff. So you can run around fine, you know, you technically have most of the buttons you need for a game like this, but your triggers aren't triggers, they're bumpers. So that means, again, you've got to play like with this weird kind of almost claw-like grip to play. Maybe someone out there likes it, you know. Again, like I said with Shovel Knight with the button layout, I could absolutely see myself like enjoying Splatoon on the GameCube controller if I was allowed to just swap the ZL, ZR, and LNR buttons. But I can't, so I can't recommend it. But like playing a game like this, and it just makes you wonder, why did they bother putting a gyroscope if they're not going to let you remap the buttons to make it usable for game? Oh, I don't know. You also can't click, so stuff like that special ability of the game just aren't usable. So I suppose you can't even get a full experience on this game. So yeah, thanks GameCube controller. And finally, we've got the 8-Bit Do Pro 2. I mean, we're going to be expecting more of the same here once we get connected. It says, once we get connected, there we go. So, I mean, yeah, very similar to the Switch Pro controller. No complaints here. That gyro sensitivity is not bad, actually, to be fair. It's a little bit high for my liking. Maybe I'm just like imagining it for this zone. It is the same, but it feels just a little bit higher sensitivity than like the Switch 2 Pro. But other than that, like, you know, you got all your buttons and stuff. You got remappable buttons, so you can just do stuff like interact with stuff on accident by pressing that. Yeah, okay. But yeah, like, so again, you can play the game without ever having to switch the face buttons if you really want to. One thing that actually feels pretty good for Splatoon as well is on the back you can do that switch to make this feel like more of a full press. Now it still activates like the second you put a bit of pressure on it, but like if you prefer like the feeling of like a longer trigger, there you go. So for Splatoon Raiders, it's going to go switch to 8-bit 2, 8-bit 30, and then yeah, you get over there, mate. Poor GameCube controller's getting absolutely rinsed today, man. See, I'm just going to leave this title screen here just flexing you guys who were never able to get the game when it came out, because for some reason this game was a limited release and never released digitally. We're going to be doing like a test of GameCube games, and I thought Mario Sunshine would be great, but I haven't played it on the Nintendo Classics yet, so I'm just going to load up a save file I already have for the sake of convenience today. But you know, all in all, this should play the same as far as I'm aware. So let's get loaded straight into it. Starting on the Switch 2 Pro controller. So a game like Super Mario Sunshine, your main thing for this is like is the movement. So on these Pro controllers, other than the GameCube one, your right shoulder button is going to be like a locked-in, rotated one, kind of shoot with FLUDD. Whereas like your right trigger, that's how you can move around with it. Not bad on the Switch 2 Pro controller, to be fair. God, it's been a while since I've played this. I remember actually when I found out about this game, it's from a YouTuber called Sugar Conroy. Absolute goat, by the way. Yeah, got me into this kind of generation of gaming, really. But yeah, Switch 2 Pro controller, not bad at all. Pretty good, pretty serviceable, absolutely. I could definitely see myself playing through the game like this if I needed to. Moving on to the 8-Bit Do SN30 Pro. When we get the chance. I said when we get the chance. Yeah, okay. Okay, bro. Yeah, this thing isn't always fantastic at connecting to the Switch. This is one of those things that you kind of need to weigh up when you get these controllers. Is like, because these 8-bit do controllers are a bit cheaper now, especially the SN30 Pro. Maybe like the connection problems aren't too big of a deal when it comes to how much you spend on them. So again, the same control scheme as the Switch 2 Pro controller. That doesn't feel too bad, to be fair, you know. I could definitely see myself playing through the game like this if I needed to. This isn't bad at all. Again, the only complaint I've really got is just the fact that there's no grip. I was getting a little bit lost in the sauce then, playing the game. So let's move on to the Gamecube controller. This is where we're really going to start shining. So, this is the Gamecube control score. So, you obviously don't have that second kind of shouldery thing. So R, because it just detects it's a Gamecube controller, you can do like a half press. Oh, let me switch over to a shoot. You can do like a half press and run around, and then when you click it in, you go stationary. So all the Gamecube games just recognise this, obviously, as like a full-on analog input. It's so cool. But I mean, if I was ever going to replay Mario Sunshine, I couldn't do it not on the Gamecube controller unless I was playing on handheld mode on the Switch. Like, this is just the way this game was intended to be played, and especially going at Mario Sunshine, a lot of its charm comes from playing it with a Gamecube controller, as daft as that sounds. But let's be fair, and let's give the 8-bit Do Ultimate 2 a fair shot. So, pretty much same. So, I'll get it out of the way with. You can switch the triggers out to analog on the 8-bit Do Pro 2, but that won't do anything for you, because you're still just limited to the Pro Controller button options, rather, unfortunately. Which isn't the end of the world, you know. They made this to work with the Switch Pro controllers, so it's not like it doesn't function at all. And obviously, when you remap some buttons, you can get like a very good feeling, like when you remap it in the software. So I can't complain too much there. One thing that really helps this for a game like Sunshine, it's just how clicky these buttons are. Like, it feels so nice to use compared to the SM30 and the Pro 2. The Pro controller 2. I'm going to get confused between the 8-bit Do Pro 2 and the Switch 2 Pro. So I'll try my best to define which one I'm talking about. But yeah, so for like your can't pause me there. For your Switch, for your GameCube games, it's definitely going to be this one, then this one, then this one, and you're kind of like there. You're not too bad, but you're not as good as these three. So the GameCube, way to go. Pro 8-bit Do Pro 2, pretty good. Switch 2, just a little bit worse than the 8-bit Do Pro 2, but not awful. And the SM30 Pro isn't bad, but just a lack of handles just really hurts it for like these kind of 3D platformery games. So here we have the ultimate test for any controller, a fighting game, not just any fighting game. Smash Ultimate. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and set up each controller on a character. I'm just going to give them like a quick show you guys how it kind of feels to play. Luckily I already set up a mode for this. Let's just put it on a random flat stage to do, won't it? So yeah, we've got all four of these controllers. I'm going to see how we do. So I will pick. Who will I pick? Who did I play back in the day? Yeah, let's go Ness. Ness is like a good kind of character to play for something like this. He's got a bit of a wider range of abilities in Smash. So, because Smash Ultimate's one of the, the GameCube controllers were released for Smash initially. So Smash Ultimate just instantly recognises the GameCube Switch controller. So let's give it a go. Yeah, not bad. Switch 2 Pro controller is definitely like a very competent way of playing. Ah, that felt pretty cool to do. Right, so let's move over to the 8-Bit Do Pro 2, which is player 2, no player 3. Okay, that's definitely not going to get confusing. Again, not bad. People saying Switch 2. I'm still going to be suffering without the grips from my experience. But it's not like it's impossible to play the game like this, you know. God, I'm so rusty on this game. Not bad at all. Alright, I'm excited for this one. So P4, I believe, yep. So let's do this. I mean, there wasn't really any argument, I don't think, from anyone that the GameCube controller isn't a perfect Smash. You can see now I've got a little bit lost just playing with it. And then finally we've got the 8-Bit Do Ultimate 2. This, yeah, very similar to the Switch Pro. Obviously you can remap some buttons on this as you can on the Switch Pro, but don't donate tournaments, guys. Those of you who do play tournaments. You don't want to be that guy, that smelly guy. But yeah, it's absolutely serviceable. It doesn't feel as nice to me as the Switch 2 Pro controller, just because, like, especially when you put in a game like Smash, like that it's designed around the Switch controllers. I know this is like a Switch 1 game, and I'm talking about Switch 2 Pro controller here, but I think you guys get what I mean. Like, some games just best experience with the first party controller, but like, yeah, absolutely, like all these controllers are fantastic for Smash, but it's gonna go GameCube, Switch 2, 8-Bit Do, and then SN30.
So, thank you guys for sticking around to the end of the video. Obviously, if you've stuck around for this long, you must like the videos I make. So, subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. So, let's talk about where kind of the use case I've got for each of these controllers. So, instead of GameCube controller, it's probably GameCube games. I mean, that's the main reason they re-release these online style controllers, is so you can play the games from that respective console. On top of that, though, I mean, Smash, GameCube controllers are Smash controllers. Everyone knows it at this point. So, if you got one of these knocking around, you might as well use it for Smash as well. So, for 2D platformers, we quite obviously have the 8-Bit Do SN30 Pro, and I nearly said Ultimate 2, but we'll get to him later. Yeah, fantastic controller. D-pad feels great. Buttons are fantastic. I'm finding it really awkward to hold a controller like this and talk at the same time. Analog sticks and like the overall grip of the controller could be way better, but at that point you are just getting like a full-blown controller. So it comes with a form factor. For those of you who are really nostalgic for the SNES, go ahead and pick it up, man. These things can be found pretty cheap online. I got this one for like £30 4 or 5 years ago. So you can probably do way better than that now, especially if you don't mind getting like a used controller. These things still get firmware updates. Works with Switch 2. Can't complain. For like I suppose a runner-up kind of thing, and don't take that the wrong way, I absolutely love the 8-Bit Do Ultimate 2. But it's just when I'm comparing this to like the main Switch 2 Pro controller, in terms of like the thumbstick quality and the overall footprint, I would lean towards that 9 times out of 10. But I will say to you guys, this is my go-to travel controller when I go on holiday. I'm going on holiday soon. This is going to be in my bag. This is just such a solid controller for the price. One thing that really bumps it up is the dock that it comes with and the 2.4 gigahertz dongle. Because that just means that you can use this thing on Switch, Windows, you know, Linux. You can with any of these controllers, but it's just so easy. Maybe not the GameCube controller, but it's just so easy to use right out of the box. And my go-to controller for everything I haven't mentioned yet, and just like an overall kind of broad thing, is quite obviously Switch 2 Pro controller. I mean, it's what it's designed for. It's made to do this kind of thing. But yeah, man, the thumbsticks just feel fantastic. The face buttons are mushy, but not too mushy. They're clicky, not too clicky. Triggers and bumpers feel fine. Mappable buttons. If for some reason you actually want to, you can plug an aux into it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So once again, thank you guys for sticking around this long and watching to the end. It means the world to me. I've been really enjoying watching the sub count go up recently. We've just hit 40 today, actually, so let's hope it doesn't go down. If you guys want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment on what you use at home for your Switch, Switch 2, Steam Deck, PC. Don't care, tell me. If you have any suggestions for other videos to make, I kind of keep hitting these kind of blocks where I'll sit down and go, I want to make a video. And I don't know what to make a video on. I was this week going to make my video on the Asobi Remote Play software, but when I tested it, it barely functioned. So I'm going to postpone that because I don't think it's very fair of me to take a piece of software that's in kind of beta alpha stages and just crap on it for the sake of it. It's not the kind of thing I want to do in this channel. So yeah, follow me on Blue Sky. I upload like silly little stuff on there occasionally and kind of teasers for these videos. So other than that, just don't forget to have a good day. See you later.